Okay, it's 11:03, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome again to everyone out there in Zoom land. We're happy that you decided to take time out of your day to join us. My name is Angela Stevens. I'm the VP of Home Lending here at Incredible Bank. For those of you that are maybe new to Incredible Bank, we are America's first online national community bank, headquartered in Wausau, Wisconsin, with 15 branches located throughout Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan. We currently serve deposit and lending customers in all 50 states, believe it or not, and we are one of the nation's top motor coach and SBA lenders. We appreciate you joining us today for part 2 of our 3-part web series focused on the home borrowing, buying, and selling process. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing you to our guest presenter, Tammy Waraksa from the Waraksa Group here in Central Wisconsin. Tammy has been a real estate agent in Central Wisconsin since 2006. And her team have helped over 1,500 families and have been one of the top producing teams in the area for the past 5 years. Tammy's been a great partner. Her and I and lenders here at the bank have done a lot of deals together. So Tammy, we thank you for being our guest today. We appreciate your willingness to educate us on what's going on in this crazy real estate market. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of take over.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Angela. I appreciate that. I love helping people. So I actually really enjoy what I do. I have the heart of a teacher, so I love educating and making sure that you understand every piece of it. So as we go through, I will click on the next screen here. So this is a little bit about who we are and what we do. We sell houses. We try to find you a house. So this house is brand new on the market, and this actually hit the market today. So you guys are getting a first look at what is on the market in the Wausau area. So if you have any price ranges in that 450 range, this is a home in Mountain. The reason I put this on here, not to do the self-promotion, but again, to help you, because houses are so hard to find right now in today's market. And this home, it's a great home. It's in Mountain, prime location. So if you're looking for a home, you don't have a good agent, feel free, we can connect you. There is an open house this Saturday from 12 to 2. So if you want to go there, that is also great. And this home is in an active delayed status. So there's trying, and like the topic here says, navigating the 2022 real estate market. So this market is very interesting and it's very unique. We've not seen a market like this before. I have been doing real estate for 16 years and I have been talking to many agents all across the country. I have connections with agents in many states, and we mastermind often to tell people what is going on and what we can expect. A lot of times I hear things that are happening on the East Coast and West Coast before they even trickle into Wausau. So being a resource for you is so key, and we want to be here to share that with you. So what active delayed status means is that, and this is something that's been new. So again, navigating the market with you. This means that it's on the market. It can be advertised. You might see it all over social media. You might see it on the internet, and you might see the sign in the yard, but you cannot view it until a certain date. And that date is online, and it shows right in the description when the showings can start. So offers typically are reviewed after that. And what we're going to get into is all about what to do and how to navigate. So as we go through, I will click on this next slide. So this is a little bit about myself and my husband, Mike. We are real estate agents. We were born and raised here in the Wausau area, and we are local experts. And why we're local experts is because we've been around the block. We know what we're doing. We have lots of connections. We help lots of clients, and we love giving back to the community. We have 3 kids. We have them active in church activities, gymnastics, swimming, things like that. So, so we meet a lot of people, and we always are interested in how we can better ourselves, the community, and we have lots of experience, as Angela pointed out. Thank you, Angela. And we're always trying to navigate the market. So if the market is changing, we need to change with it. Otherwise, you'll get left behind. So no one likes to, my team loves it when I say these things, but it's like if you were trying to play the game of life or the game of Uno, and nobody was telling you the rules until you were halfway through or 3/4 of the way through, and then you ended up going, this is really frustrating, and then they told you the rules later, you're like, oh, well, that would have been helpful. So that's exactly what we want to do, is we want to help you through the market and navigate through. So I've been a real estate agent since 2006 and have seen the recession in 2008 when it was a buyer's market. And, the buyers in today's market are seeming like we can't catch a break. We might be writing an offer on a property, or the prices are increasing. We're not sure where interest rates are going. And how do we navigate through this? Well, back in 2008, and for many years, it was the opposite, where I was working with buyers. You could write an offer. You could put everything in there in the kitchen sink, and the seller would say, yes, and what else do you want? So, it's a unique market right now, and it's just navigating through to teach you and tell you what you can do, what things aren't as acceptable to do, and what might be difficult if you put that in your offer to get a house. So my husband, Mike, he does have a construction contractor background. He was an excavator for many years. So he does bring that knowledge to the table when he is showing homes. I have a global luxury accreditation, and we have sold many properties. My husband was also in the military, so he is a veteran, and we love supporting our vets and lots of other areas in life in the community. So on to the next slide. So this shows we have a team. So it's not just me. When you hire me or any agent, you want to make sure that you are being well supported. So with our team, we do have the support of many people. If houses are going on the market really fast and you need to get in to see that house, we have all the people on the screen. And the people on the screen, if I'm in an appointment and this house hit the market and you need to get in to see that house, I can reach out to anyone else on the team and say, hey, can you quick go show that house to my client? They want to take a look at it. So having support is super important. We have experience and getting you at homes and getting you into the houses faster. And that's key in this market. You can't wait. So you don't want to say, well, I'm just going to see if the house is on the market in 2 or 3 days. I have tennis tonight. It's like, no, you really need to go look at it if you really are wanting that house. We also have a transaction coordinator, Cassie. She is fabulous. She helps with all of our, once you have an accepted offer, she sends you dates and deadlines of these are your updates of what you need to do and when, and she helps keep you organized, and people really appreciate that. So she'll send you things along the way through the process. And of course, the agent that you are working with, myself or someone on the team, they also are connecting with you and talking with you every step of the way. But that is a huge piece that is very helpful for you. So something to be aware of. Also, the buyer VIP list, we like to call it, because you are very important, and we want to make sure that you have VIP status to any houses that are coming on the market that we know of, and we get you into them right away. Just like the one on the first page. So off-market properties, these properties are properties that people have thought about putting up for sale, but they're not on the market yet. So what I like to say is someone at their dinner table last night decided to sell their home, and our job is to find out who. So might seem a little interesting, but that's what we do as real estate agents. And in this market, that more than ever is key, because we need to figure out who is looking to sell and who we can help find that next home. Because if they're all gone, people say many times when buyers are looking at houses, they'll say, I'm looking on Zillow, I'm looking on realtor.com, I'm looking on, whatever website, and I see that the house is already gone, or all these houses are contingent. Yes. Contingent means that it has an offer on it already. So if you are looking at properties and you're getting frustrated because you just started your search and you see that the houses are all contingent, well, that's because they don't sit on the market long right now in this market. So if you are just starting, take note, just hang in there, have patience. More houses are coming on the market. And as they do, that's when you need to go on and grab them. Look at them right away, jump at it, and call your agent to say, hey, I want to go look at this house. So that's how you do it. So don't get discouraged when you first start looking. So showing professionals, we are definitely professionals. You want to make sure that you hire someone that is professional and that they are ethical, walking you through every step of the way. And so not saying that, and don't mistake for me saying that we're only the ones that are ethical. Agents are professionals and ethical, and you want to make sure that when you're working with your agent, whether it's someone from our team or another team, that you are represented well and that you feel comfortable. And so we have local market knowledge. Local market knowledge is something that is done with experience. When you have an experience of what homes have come on the market before, what homes have sold, what they have been priced at before, have they been on the market before, and someone is now putting it right back on the market to sell it. What price did it sell for before? What price should it be at? Is a house that just hit the market too low? So walking you through all of that, that's key. And the MLS driven search site, we do have our own search site, and a lot of times people say that it's a little bit easier to navigate and that they see what houses are new on the market there versus seeing that everything is contingent and getting frustrated. And we also have a flexible schedule. So we work around you. Again, we want to be your one-stop shop and someone that you can trust and rely on. So it's fun when people say, we felt like Tammy was that we were Tammy's only client, or we were, someone on the team's only client, because anytime we wanted to go see a house, they said, sure, and just made it happen. So it's fun to work with people and treat people with respect and the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that's what we want. If I was looking for a house in this market, I would want my agent to go show it to me right away. So that's what we do. So on this next slide, it talks about the process. So the process, the length is about 30 to 45 days from accepted offer to close. Now, you might be a little bit faster. It's going to depend on your lender and what they say for timeframes. With appraisers, if they're backed up, it might take a little bit longer. It might also be where the seller is not wanting to leave the house until July because they want to be in there until school's over and then pack things up and work that way. So job transfer, someone might not be able to move until a certain day. So that really is dependent on all of those factors. And also when you're ready. In this market, again, if a homeowner is looking for a certain date, you want to make sure that you are talking with your agent and saying, okay, what is the date that the seller is looking for? Because if the seller has many offers to choose from, then you want to make sure that you are checking all of those details so that that one little piece that could make a difference, if you were selling your home and you said, I need to be in here until June 4th, and that's the date I want to close, and a buyer came to you and said, I'll close on May 1st, and you said, well, that's too soon, they might not accept your offer because it's just, that's not the date that they're looking for. So mortgage pre-approval, you want to make sure that this gets done. In this market, it's more crucial than ever because there's many buyers, they're all writing offers, they all have pre-approval letters, and if a pre-approval letter is not in your hand and sent to your agent to help you write that offer to present to the seller to say, this is proof that I can buy your home, then you also are missing a piece, because in the past, you could have written an offer and not had your pre-approval letter. And you might still be able to get away with it. But I'm telling you, when you're up against things like this, can you guys see? We had a house that had 21 offers on it. Crazy. And you don't want to have no pre-approval letter if everybody else has a pre-approval letter, because then the seller just isn't sure if you are a legitimate buyer that can actually buy the house, because they might, you might say, well, I'm good to go. Well, they don't know you. They just, you're a name on a piece of paper to them at this point. So we want to make sure that you provide proof. Selecting a real estate agent. This is key. You need to make sure you select a good real estate agent, because that agent is going to help you through the whole process. They're going to be the ones texting you. They're going to be the ones contacting the other agents. They're going to be the ones setting up showings for you. They're going to be the ones pointing out things in the houses for you. And really, it's, how do you want to be represented? If you have an agent that is just going to go there and open the door for you and stand in the kitchen and say, go ahead and look around, or you want that agent to be right there with you and showing you things in the home, pointing things out, saying this is why this is like this, or this is what I think about this. And really, that next thing is the buyer consultation, sitting down with you, whether it be a Zoom call, whether it be FaceTime, whether it be face-to-face, phone call, whatever it might be for you, and saying, what are you looking for? So that's key, because everybody's different. Someone might be looking for a quick sale and they just want to buy a home that doesn't need a lot of work, and they just want to move in and have nothing to fix. Someone might say, I want a fixer-upper. I'm willing to do the work and put some sweat equity into it. So that's key. Sitting down with an agent, talking through the options, talking through the process, and saying, what are your needs? And then having that agent talk to you about, based on what your needs are, how does this match up to the market? And where do I see there might be some issues? Or how can we tweak things? Or how can I make suggestions for you based on your situation, so that we can make sure that you are the winner of all of the offers? So determine agency. This is something that buyers may not know. And in this real estate world, you need to have a contract, whether it be a document that you sign saying, I know you're a real estate agent. That's all I need from you. Just open the door. You don't really need to tell me anything. Just, if you want to tell me some, material adverse facts, things that might be wrong, things that might be of your knowledge, point this out to me. But I really, I don't need you to tell me price. I don't need you to tell me what you think the price should be, or where you think things should go, or like negotiating wise. I just need an agent to basically just unlock the door and write the offer for me, and I'll tell you what to write. That is one way you can do it. Most buyers will actually do the other way. And the other way is what I recommend, because that is called a buyer agency. And that buyer agency is where that agent can tell you anything and everything, and they can say, this is what I think the price should be. This is where I think that the offers will go to. This is where I want to provide you with this extra service. And not only that, but the biggest thing is they're negotiating for you on your behalf. And if you don't have a buyer agency, on the other option, they're actually supposed to just act as representing the seller. So act as if the seller was their client. Now that's mind-boggling. That's why a lot of agents don't they just don't explain it like that. So what is important is making sure you have an agent that will share things with you that says, okay, these are the options. Legally, I have to either represent you like this or represent you like this. Which option would you like? And this is what I can do in either option. So why would you want an agent to represent the seller when they're writing your offer? You wouldn't, but you might if that's what you are wanting. So again, we give you the options. And feel free, if you guys have any questions along the way, just write them in the chat and I can answer them as we go through. So the home buying process, this is a great slide. I love this slide because this shows the actual route to finding that house. Some of you might think it's a mystery, but it's actually not. We do this every day and we know how to get you there. And even with the many buyers and the competition that you're up against, this is the process. So number one, select a real estate agent. We've talked about that. Obtain a financial pre-approval. You're in good hands. Incredible Bank is incredible. They really are. So analyze your needs in a buyer consultation. We just talked about that. And then once we determine what you're looking for, let's go look at houses. Everybody loves looking at houses. House Hunters, Joanna Gaines, all of the cool shows out there, Property Brothers, those are fun to watch. Some of them aren't always applicable to here, but we can help you through and show you the houses. Photos online sometimes don't always depict what is in real life. So if you say, I want to go look at this one, it looks super cute, and then you get inside and go, oh, the bedroom looked a lot larger online. That might be the case. So your agent, they might be able to, again, selecting a great agent, they might be able to decipher for you and say, okay, this is what you said you were looking for. This is what this house is. I can see that this bedroom is this size, and this is what, is comparable to maybe a house that we were in previously that you mentioned that you didn't want. So that's super helpful and that is, again, why it's helpful, because if you keep looking at houses over and over and you are taking your time to go look at 3 houses over here when there's a different house over here that popped up online that you didn't take time to go look at, well, now you might have just lost out if they made a decision tonight on this house and then you call the next day and go, I want to see that one. That one's now gone. So selecting a great agent and letting that agent help you through the process, because if they're really good at what they do, they will help you get that house. So write an offer to purchase. We'll talk about that on the next slide because that's what everybody's wanting to know. How do I write a good offer? How do I get that house? So once you write a good offer, negotiate terms. We'll talk about that because in this market, people will say, well, I'll just write an offer. And then if I write that offer, they'll just come back to me and tell me what they really want, right? So I could just, if a house is listed for $250, I could just write it for like, $240, and then they can just counter back to me, right? No, maybe, most likely not. As you can see in this market, not every scenario is going to be the same. And that's why I say those things, because we just don't know if they're going to do that. But I can tell you 99.9% of the time, you're not going to get that option, because we have been around the block and we know what's happening. And out there, it is where we have to be playing a strategic offense, that we know what's happening and present your offer and help you get that house in the best way possible. So the best thing is to have your agent coach you, help advise you, and then have that agent talk to the listing agent, the agent that's representing the seller, and say, what is that seller looking for? What's the ideal closing date? So that you have those things already in your offer, so that you're not missing those pieces when you write your offer, because you might not get that second chance. So, and again, like I said, 99.9% of the time, you're just not getting that second chance. So this market is different and we want to help you through it. So
Tammy, I do have a couple of questions I'd just like to ask that are coming in. And this might be a good time to ask, because one of them
Sure.
is about, what advice do you have for first-time home buyers that might need more time to make a decision on whether or not to write an offer?
Oh, yes. Great question. So if you need more time, talk to your agent. Your agent, again, this is so key, because I can advise you but if I'm not your agent, I really can't help you through the process and what you're doing. So I can tell you that what I would recommend is that if you need more time, look at the market. Look at what properties are on the market right now. What are you interested in? If there's nothing, which might most likely happen, then have your agent help you look at houses that were on the market, maybe in the last 6 months. See what those houses looked like. Go through pictures with your agent. Say, what did they look like? What did they sell for? What were they listed at? What did they sell for? Have some armor, like you're going out there with your shield, and then you've got your arrows with your, in your quiver, and you're like, okay, these are the strategies that I'm going to use to figure out the market and figure out what you need to do to get a house. So if you need a little bit more time, let's take a little time lapse and see what there has been on the market so that well, this is what I can expect. So now maybe you haven't gone physically in those houses, but now you could look at the houses online, and your agent can walk you through. And if that agent has been in those houses, they could then tell you, do you see how this one looks? This one had this. This one had a wet basement. This one had a, bad roof. And if the agent has gone there and knows those things, they could tell you that. Or this one had this, or, this is what it sold for. So giving you that time is helpful. And then when a new house comes on the market, like you said, you want more time. But if you have some experience about what has happened, you might feel more at ease so that you feel like you have had a little bit more time that maybe other buyers haven't, because they haven't done their homework. Just like I said, my team loves it when I give analogies, but taking a test and not studying, okay? That's nerve-wracking. I agree with you. So you want to do that.
You mentioned that your transaction coordinator makes us aware of dates and deadlines. Why is that important, Tammy?
Yes. So that's important because the dates and deadlines, this is real important, if you miss a deadline, there are things in that Wisconsin offer that say your offer can be canceled and you don't get any say so. And that's scary. If you just looked at 50 houses and wrote 50 offers, or let's just say you wrote a bunch of offers and you were so excited that you got this house and your agent doesn't check that deadline and you lose that house, that's gonna be a really bad day. So you need to check those deadlines, stay on top of them. Absolutely, that's important.
I have one more question that just came in. What is your outlook in terms of the housing inventory over the next few months for our area, which would be the Wausau area? I would assume there'll be an uptick as usual, but do you think it'll be substantial?
Great question. So what I tell people is every spring is the craziest. So when it's December, I say spring is the craziest. When it is summer, it depends on what time of summer. It might be winding towards the end. It might have a little spike again. But right now we are in spring, and that is the busy time because buyers are coming off of the holidays, coming off of winter, and people do move in winter, but majority of people, they love the cold and the snow, and they may not want to load their moving truck in the winter time, but so the majority of people like to move in spring and summer. Also, kids are getting out of school in the summertime, so they like to make offers now, look now, and write offers so that they are ready to go when school is out. So homeowners, so that's where you're in a lot of competition, and that's why I say all of that. So right now there's a little bit more competition. As the summer goes on, buyers have written offers and got offers accepted. So now the competition isn't as fierce. So hang in there, it does get better.
So you think the inventory will go up, Tammy?
Right, so when you have homeowners looking at listing their homes. They also don't want to list their homes maybe with a bunch of snow in their garden that they've spent all year working so hard on. So those homes are coming because it's not spring yet and the tulips haven't blossomed. So what you need to do is just hang in there because they're coming. So yes, homes are still coming on the market. We are getting lots of calls. People are putting their homes on the market and they are coming down the pipeline. So more homes are coming. And as the market goes, we just don't know where interest rates are going. We don't know where prices are going. And everyone who tried to buy a home last year and said, man, I wish I would have bought a home last year because this year's even crazier. You could end up saying that same thing next year, that, wow, I wish I would have bought a home in 2022 because 2023 is even crazier. So, so when is a great time to buy? Right now, because we just don't know the future. I believe that it's not going to have a tailspin nosedive all the way, and bottom out. So I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that right now it is going to keep going up, and it might taper off because real estate is, it goes like this. So if you are, it's going up, at some point it needs to come back down and then go up again. So we just don't know where we're at in this process. 2008, like I said, it went down and then it came back up, and now we're still going up and up and up. So we're not really sure when it's going to turn or how hard the turn is going to be. So just like a roller coaster, you guys love my analogies. We just don't know where this is going. But if you have a good agent, it can be fun. So even though it's stressful, we can help you through the process. So any other questions? Okay, perfect. So you want to remove those contingencies once the offer is accepted, obtain mortgage financing, conduct any inspections if you're doing that, obtain homeowner's insurance, title insurance, and your agent and lender will help you through that process to figure those things out. Obtain funds for closing, close on the property, and take possession of your house. So that is the process. Now, what you have been wanting and waiting for. What writing an offer looks like. How are we doing on time?
Good.
Okay. So understanding the home's value. So I have some notes here that I just wanted to let you guys know. So is the house price too low? When a house is listed on the market, is it low and they're looking to get multiple offers? Is it priced fairly average and there might be an average amount of offers? Is it priced too high and the house might be still sitting there? In this market, if houses are on the market and they're still there after a little bit, there might be a reason why they're still there. It might not be that the house is, that there's something wrong with the house. It might just be the price. So, and they might not have an agent that is talking to them about the price. It might be that the homeowner is not willing to lower their price. So again, having your agent talk to their agent, have your people talk to my people, and then figure it out. So when you are writing in contingencies, and one other thing about understanding the home's value, if you have an agent that is doing the extra steps for you to go above and beyond and help you figure out the value, that agent, if they are experienced and know the market, they might be able to tell you, okay, this is listed at this price, but the value based on these other sold properties is up here. So if you were to make an offer, this is where the value is in this market. And now you're not necessarily writing way over asking price that is too high or out of line. It might just be where the market is, and maybe the homeowner or the agent who put the property up for sale just wasn't aware that the market is changing And again, how could you not, right? But there might be strategies of why they priced it there, and maybe they're trying to get multiple offers. Maybe the homeowner says, that seems too high, I don't want to go any higher than this. You just don't know. But again, having that agent help you, it might not be that you're overpaying, it might be that you're just paying market value right now. So having that agent educate you to say, this is okay, and this is why, based on these comparables and these sold prices, that is super helpful for you. So then you understand why you would write that offer that way.
Tammy, I've got a question. Are there a situation where a realtor and an agency could be representing the buyer and the seller?
Yes. So you do have to have a consent for that. So if you are, if the agent has the home up for sale and the buyer has again, it depends on what that contract is with that buyer. If that buyer says, I don't want you as my buyer agent, I just want you to open the door, show me the house, well, then they're not representing that buyer. And you just need to know how you're actually being represented. Did your agent disclose that to you? Did your agent tell you which way they're representing you? Did they have you sign any forms? Did they not? Are they just implying that this is how it's working? Ask questions. So they might have the house up for sale, but not really representing you. They might just be representing the seller. If they're representing the seller and they do have a buyer agency with you, then if you want to write an offer on that property, you want to see, is that homeowner and the buyer okay with you representing both parties? Well, now we might need to make an adjustment. Are we going to have that agent remain neutral and just be the middleman and say, hey, Mr. Seller, what do you want me to tell Mr. Buyer? Mr. Buyer, what do you want me to tell Mr. Seller? And just go back and forth and be neutral? Or do you want to have one party being represented by that agent and then having another agent from that office or the team representing the other party? So then each person feels like they have that person in their court to say, this is what the tips and strategies are. And then you don't feel like you're having one person, go between. But again, it's if that agent is able to be neutral, and sometimes it might be hard for people to do that. So you just have to agree to that. And there is a document that's saying, which way are you both okay with? So asking questions is great. Absolutely. So writing in contingencies. Contingencies like financing. Do you have to get a loan? Writing contingencies in like an appraisal. Does that have to be a part of it? Ask your lender. Your lender would know. And then relaying that to your agent, because that's super helpful. Closing date. If you, like we talked about, want to close in May, but the seller wants to close in June, they might not accept your offer. And then all your hopes are up and then down. What does the seller want? The seller might say, I'm not leaving my refrigerator. And it might say that online. Or the seller might say, I'm willing to negotiate it, but you wouldn't know unless your agent asked, and then that agent talks to that other agent. So writing in things that, or for instance, if you were to write in that you want the lower level movable bar because it's real cool and you want it to stay there and you want to write it in the offer. Well, if you get one chance and you're up against many different offers and that seller says, I am not selling that bar or leaving the bar there because I made that with my buddy and he's moved away and I don't see him, as often. Well, the seller's probably not going to accept your offer because they don't want to leave the bar there. So making sure you don't put things in your offer that aren't necessary if you don't have your agent do a little bit of legwork to check on that beforehand. So the other thing would be, writing in different contingencies. Like, well, I want to have closing costs paid for. Check with your lender. And then we also need to know, do you need closing costs paid for by the seller? In this market, there's not a lot of sellers that are saying that they're going to pay for closing costs. And the closing costs would be your loan costs. There's other costs that you have as a buyer, and we'll get to that on the next slide. But the next part would be an inspection. Are you going to do an inspection? Are you not going to do an inspection? And some buyers might say, well, I'm not going to buy a house unless I have an inspection. great. If that's what you want to do, we can put that in the offer. But then talking you through and saying, okay, these are the options. Which option do you want to take? If you have competition and the homeowner is saying, I want a clean offer, if there's other offers that have no inspection, that's my preference. And you kind of need to know that, because again, you want to know the rules of the game or what that person's looking for before you write your offer if you only have one chance. So, and if you say, you know, I really want my inspection, I don't care what the seller wants, that's fine. Making sure that agent is representing you, put that in there. And then there's other tips and strategies that you can put in with that inspection contingency. So knowing what to do and how to do it is helpful, not just saying, sure, we'll write the inspection and just put it in there and see if they take it. Okay. So
And
have a
Tammy, you know, that goes right with the appraisal. You mentioned timing being important. As a lender, we are at the mercy of the appraisers during the busy times. How willing are sellers wanting to move the appraisal contingency date without affecting the buyer's purchase agreement? I thought that was a great question that came in.
Yeah, absolutely. So that really depends. Usually they're pretty good about extending the appraisal deadline. However, there are times when they might not be willing to extend it. And then that is a problem, because if you lose out on a house because of an appraiser, that is devastating. So having your agent talk to the other agent, figuring out if that's an option, figuring out what needs to happen to make that an option, and making sure that you don't miss the deadline. Because if you miss the deadline, then there's repercussions with that too. So
Tammy, you work with other, I mean, you if you're representing a client, you are going to fight for that buyer though to get those dates extended, right?
Right. Yes.
And that's going to happen between you and the listing agent. You guys will come to a consensus, and then they will go back to the seller and try to influence them to make those changes, right?
Right. And also putting a realistic date in your offer too. Having that agent write a good offer, knowing what to put in there. If that agent writes in there that it's going to be 5 days for the appraisal,
not enough time.
Well, writing an offer 101. So making sure you have a good agent, like I said. Escalation clause meeting. So if you are looking at just like almost like an eBay, if you are saying, okay, I want to write an offer $1,000 higher than the highest offer, but no more than, let's just say that the house is listed for $250 and we don't know what the other offers are. We can't know what the other offers are. It's not legal to know that or disclose that. So if the house is listed at $250 and we have to say, okay, this is what we feel the value is. Maybe we feel the value is $260. And we say, we'll write an offer at $250. And again, there's strategic things that you want to do with pricing. If you're going to start at $250 or a little bit over, then you would also say, if it's valued to you at $260 and you say, well, I'll write $250, but I'll go up to, $1,000 over the highest offer, but no more than $260. Well, you might get it. If the other offer is $258 and you go to $259, great, happy day. But again, the seller doesn't always just pick based on price. So there's tips and strategies of how high to go, what to do. Is it $1,000 over the highest offer, or is it $5,000 over the highest offer? There's different strategies. So earnest money is, and I should say the escalation clause, depending upon your agent and what form they're using, if they're using some of the forms that are supplied by the state and the correct forms, because there's lots of forms out there, then the escalation clause does say in there that you do get to see proof of the other offer. So that $258 offer that makes you go to $259, you do get to see proof of that. So that is cool too, and that gives you some peace of mind. So that's very helpful. But also making sure, does that say that in that offer? Earnest money. So earnest money is money that you put down, kind of like a security deposit on a rental, where you put it down, they hold it for you, and then you get it back later. So that is your part of your down payment money. So it could be $1,000, it could be $5,000, depends on what the comfort level of you and what your agent is advising based on the house price and what they know of the market. And so typically you get that earnest money back if something doesn't go the right way, if your home inspection doesn't work out, if your financing doesn't work out, if the appraisal doesn't work out, and there's negotiation along the way, and having that agent walk you through the whole process, because it's not just a write your offer, get it accepted, and hope everything goes okay. You do need to be watching through the process. So that earnest money, again, having a good agent, making sure that, do I get my earnest money back if something doesn't go right? Do I not? So the appraisal gap coverage, that's something that is unique, and it's been happening more often. And this is something that if the appraiser says, based on that 250 situation, let's say we went to 259. If the appraiser says, oh, it's only worth 250 or maybe 251, and there's that gap from 251 to 259, now in offers, buyers are writing in what they are willing to do based on a future happening. And I know that's hard to think of, but having an agent walk you through the process, figure it out, and say, if there was an appraisal that came in a little bit lower, what are you comfortable writing in? Do you have an extra $5,000 over and above your down payment money? This is not part of your down payment money. Do you have an extra $5,000 that if the appraisal came in at 251, that you'd be okay to go to 256? And put down an extra $5,000 cash, because the lender won't give you that loan for that extra $5,000. So homeowners now are looking at that and going, okay, well, if this person's willing to give me $2,000 over an appraisal, that's low. And we don't know if the appraisal is going to be low. It might not. It might be just fine. But this is just extra security money that if this happens, then what are you willing to do? And that's something that you can put up front. You can, as far as like upfront writing in your offer, or you can negotiate it later, but the good offers are writing things in there upfront because you get one chance. So the next thing is letter to the homeowner. People are doing this. Some agents are okay to send it to the seller. Some agents aren't. They think, is it fair? Is it, they don't want to have any discrimination. So some agents are willing to work with this, some aren't. So it's really checking to see what the status is with that homeowner and what, at the time. Additional strategies, there's lots more strategies. It's really talking to your agent. So I don't want to bog you down with all of these things now. These are some of the costs. How are we doing on time? Okay, so we're coming in for a landing. So the buyer costs, these are, oh, look at the happy homeowners. So the buyer transaction fee, some agents will charge a buyer transaction fee. They give you lots of knowledge. They want a little extra fee for their time and efforts. Our team, TWG, the Waraksa Group, we don't charge a transaction fee. So we want to help you through the process and give you all the tips and tricks. And we feel that we have value and we love teaching and educating and working with you because that's a team effort. Buyer agency fee. There is a buyer agency fee that of how we get paid. So we get paid when you buy a house. We don't get paid up front. We get paid when you buy a house, and we can either get paid by you, we can get paid by the seller, and most times we get paid by the seller. So we write that in there in the offer. If it's a homeowner that's selling on their own, we can help you with that too. If the home is listed with another agent, there is something called a co-broke. So that is where that agent is willing to share some of that commission that that homeowner has offered to say, if you sell my home, this is the fee that I will pay you. So most buyers don't pay the buyer agency fee if it is offered by the seller. So that's nice too. Again, find that agent that you can trust, that can teach you and help you and and educate you through the process so that you know what's going on. What have I signed? What does that mean? Am I paying you? Am I not paying you? Earnest money. Earnest money, those are some of the price ranges for what you can expect to pay for earnest money. Home inspections, that might be on the low side. Home inspections now are going up. They might be 500 to 600. Radon testing, that's something that is an issue in the area. Marathon County is the highest county in the whole entire state for radon, and radon is a colorless, odorless gas, but it's not as bad as carbon monoxide, in my opinion, because obviously carbon monoxide, it's bad and you have just minutes, right? Or hours. Radon, you could be living in your house for years and there could be radon in your house and not even know it. So it's something that you can talk to your agent about, and they can explain more of what that is. And the strategies. Do we put that in our offer? Do we not put that in our offer to do a radon test? Appraisal prices. Ask your lender. They know the current appraisal pricing. Buyer loan costs. Again, ask your lender. These lovely ladies on the webinar today, they know all of the details on that. So I always say, if there's a loan or lender question, feel free to ask your lender. Title fee, just like a title on a car, you have title insurance on a house, and your lender wants to be on that loan, your lender wants to be on that title because they still have a loan on your property. So very similar to a car title. So that is that. Let me just move this down. Next slide. So this is my last slide today. Just like that first-time homebuyer question of how do I get more time? How do I play it safe? What are some tips? What can I do? Well, don't spend any money when you are going through the process, because for one, you need that money to buy that house, because houses, there's strategies of putting extra money into your offer to make it look appealing. So halt your spending, because also it can tip your credit score. It can affect things, and your lender can share more information with you about that. So, we've had different people that have walked into, I didn't know I couldn't go buy a car, and now my credit, adjusted, and that will affect being able to buy that house. That would be devastating. Don't do that. Some people say, I didn't know I couldn't buy the new car. I didn't know I wasn't going to or shouldn't have gone on a spending spree or, whatnot. I didn't know I couldn't apply for 3 more credit cards because now it changed my credit score a little bit. And what are you saying? I can't buy my house now because I applied for Alta? Don't do that. So tell the whole truth. Be honest with your agent. Be honest with your lender. That is important. And dates and documents, making sure you watch those deadlines, because that's also very important. Nobody likes to miss an appointment time or a deadline or getting their house. So that's very devastating. So making sure that agent is aware of what's going on and when. So with that, do you guys have any other questions that I can help you navigate this 2022 market that is very interesting, but can also be navigated if you have a great captain?
Oh, we do have some questions that came in. I know we're getting close to our cutoff. Before we get to the other questions, I just want to let everybody know our next webinar is next month, Ask an Appraiser, on April 27th, if you're interested in that. And I'll go right to the question. And I don't know, maybe Angela, you want to answer this one. If I'm seeking financing for a home, are there certain loan types that are more attractive than others in this type of market?
There are, for many reasons.
Go ahead, Tammy. I'm going to let you take that one as the agent, because
Sure.
you're guiding these people. So
Yep. So there are different loan types, which your lenders will tell you. So when you talk to your lenders, there are different loan types. There's different benefits to you to have those different loan types. Saving money, maybe different interest rates, maybe not as big of a down payment, PMI, not PMI. So there's different reasons why you choose your loan type. And then once you do that, then you come into the realm of buying a home and how those loan types look on an offer to a homeowner, because some of those loan types have appraisers that are a little bit pickier. Sometimes if a house has chipping peeling paint and an appraiser might not like that for a certain loan type, and you see 123 Cherry Street and it's just the house of your dreams, but the agent goes, there is chipping paint everywhere, and your loan type, based on what you want and what you've talked to your lender about, this might not be the house for you. So what you want to do is talk to your agent and then have that agent tell you there might be some loan types that aren't going to work. So even if you write your offer on this and the agent who's representing the seller goes, well, this loan type might have some issues with this chipping peeling paint on your home, and the other loan type on a different person's offer doesn't have that, you want to make sure you are educated through the process. So great question.
Another question, so many people want to attempt to sell their homes on their own without a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Can you comment on the benefits of using an agent versus listing and selling on your own?
Yes. So there is many stories that we hear after the fact of, man, I wish I would have used an agent because they didn't tell me this, or I didn't know about this, or I thought I had to pay that, or they told me that it was just like this, or I didn't know that that was not going to be included. I didn't know I could write that into my offer. So you definitely want to have an agent help you through that process, because that is very important and they can point things out to you. And of course, it's harder for you to walk through that house with that homeowner. And then if, they feel like they're pressuring you to make a decision, or you say, okay, sure, yep, we'll do that. Maybe it's not the right price. Maybe that price is a little too high. And then you try to sell it in the future, and now that price isn't exactly what it should have been when you bought it. So lots of things. Or the homeowner doesn't really point something out to you, or says, oh, well, this is maybe not really an issue. And then the agent's going, yeah, that is an issue. Or, well, if it was in a listed home situation, it might be where this is the norm, and that homeowner would be aware of that. And this is what you as a buyer should be privy to, knowledge-wise, information-wise, or what is typical? Does the homeowner typically pay for that? Or are they saying you just pay for it? And then you feel like, well, I'm getting a good deal, but are you? So you just want to have that agent help you.
Tammy, in the past, a few years ago, I experienced some customers who were listing their house. And one thing on their own, one thing that was interesting, I thought, was just that, if it's your home, you are somewhat emotionally attached to that home. And so hearing somebody walk through and maybe make a comment about that they don't like the fact that there's wallpaper, that starts to tug on the emotional side of a seller. And that can really derail a deal very quickly, because maybe they can't neutrally communicate right with that buyer, because now they're offended for some reason. And that's right when I recommended you need an agent to represent you, because you don't want to have those negotiations back and forth between that transaction. Using an agent is a neutral party, and it seems like that's always the best route to go, at least from my experience.
Right. Yep. And you might say, well, I don't think the owner's willing to pay for the real estate commission. That actually might not be true, because the homeowners now in this market, they're getting more for their home. And so maybe more than what they thought they were able to get. And that commission can be worked in there. So, just talking to that agent, having that agent help you through that process is key. Any other questions?
Right. And Tammy, thank you so much. You did an awesome job. I think we got a lot of information that was really good for us.
Absolutely. And if you guys have more questions, I would be happy to answer them. You can reach out to us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, the Waraksa group, and message us there. We'd be happy to answer any other questions that you have.